Hey, good morning, New Minds Nation, Newman Nation, YouTube, the whole bit. Actually, super fast before I jump in, let me just say, super cool announcement. Yesterday we had a few people reach out and ask how could they access our videos. Of course, there's here on Facebook. There's also newminds.tv, where all of our videos are posted at the end of the day. And then also on YouTube. So by all means, if you want to support us, please join us on any of those channels. Like us, follow us, subscribe us, whatever you want to call it. Give us some thumbs up. Hey, Mr. T. Morning, my good man. Thanks for joining us this morning. Okay, so as you probably saw, today features livers. Here we go. That's my best representation of a liver. I've included a little bit of bio down there. Okay. All right, so let me hop in and do a little story here. Hope this is a good takeaway for you. This comes from Thomas R. Hoare's book, The Formative Five, and I'll put that in the comments. Hey, Kristen, good morning. We are featuring livers today. Once again, there's my picture of a liver. Woo! All right, so here we go. Staring into the deep, that's what I'm reading. Staring into the deep, dark hole on the left of the upper abdomen after the life-requiring liver has been removed during the transplant procedure, the clock starts. 1 hour to get the replacement liver sewn in. Go. Not infrequently, lots of complicating, perhaps impossible confabulations arise. The patient's low blood pressure, low or high heart rate, lack of blood clotting, environmental stresses such as noise, very high operating room temperatures that helps promote blood clotting, and very cold hands as ice is placed on the liver and in the abdomen to keep the transplanted liver metabolically inactive until blood has returned to it, and fatigue, most commonly in the middle of the night. All of these variables conspire against you and your patient. At times they seem almost impossible to surmount. But I will fight, move, act. Among the many factors that successfully bring the entire transplant team together is being time sensitive, getting things done one by one, sucking it up, focusing, drawing on your training and expertise, and moving forward with purpose. Blood restored, cold, shrunken, gray replacement liver has in just a few heartbeats become pink, fully healthy, and functioning. Breathe. What's next? Okay, so real fast. Hey guys, good morning, good morning. This is from a short little story, but it's an excerpt from The Formative Five by Thomas R. Hoare. And the full title is The Formative Five, Fostering Grit, Empathy, and Other Success Skills Every Student Needs. So I want to be clear, this is written like for a teacher. But man, in this time of quarantining, thank you, Mr. T, for that drop. Quarantining. In this time that we've become teachers, I went back to my bookshelf in my library and kind of grabbed a few books that have been inspiring me and driving my teaching. And so this is definitely one of them. And so this is part of the chapter all about resiliency and grit. But I wanted to use it today to kind of share a good parenting tip for working with your kids at home. Because clearly, right, I am not a liver transplant surgeon. Good morning, guys. I'm not a liver transplant surgeon. However, the story is very empowering and very impactful, right? So all these things in the environment are kind of going on. Man, again, that's the high operating room temperature, this noise, all the stress that's around this doctor, having to keep the ice in there so the hands are freezing, but the room is hot. All these things are going on. See if you've said this over the past few weeks. Have you said this line? At times, these things seem impossible. And the full line there is, at times, they may seem impossible to surmount. So have you felt like you're up against this large wall? Man, this is obviously good, of course, for personal development. I'm taking this as a lens and talking about working with your kids at home. Had this really cool conversation just yesterday with a friend of ours. And they're talking about, man, okay, so I've got my kids, we've figured out a schedule, and we do actually appreciate your morning videos, Justin, but how do you actually make the kids do it, right? How do I actually make them do the work that they're supposed to do? I can encourage them all day, I can be empathetic. So Let me just say a few things, and it actually came out of that conversation. I would imagine that if you are working with your kiddos, you are probably saying things like this. If you finish your assignment, then you can play on the computer. If you finish your assignment, then you can go outside. Or knowing dang well that they haven't finished the assignment, you are asking questions like, hey, have you finished that yet? Yesterday, my daughter was working on Rosetta Stone, which is free online now, so please, if you haven't had a chance to hop on there, hop on it. She was working on her French lesson and laying in bed, working on the computer, and passed out, fell asleep. Poor kid needed some rest. But yeah, so to go in there and say, hey, have you finished that French lesson yet? Like, she fell asleep. I know dang well she hadn't finished the French lesson, right? What you're doing here is you're making yourself cranky. So pause there for a second and ask, have you been asking these kind of questions to the people around you, to the kids that you're in charge of? I don't know if it's people at work. Again, I take the list of being an educator during this time of quarantine teaching. Are you asking these questions? Because what you've done is, and I'm guilty as well, but what we've done is we have broken that rule of presuming positive intent. So let me see if I can give a quick metaphor to the surgeon. So let's say that it was your loved one in there. They're having surgery, and so you've actually gone in, to go pick up your loved one from the hospital. Okay, you go in to pick up your loved one from the hospital, and let me see if you would say anything like this. If you finish that liver transplant surgery, I'll pay you. Okay, that sounds ludicrous. Have you finished that surgery yet? Okay, I don't think that you would say that to a doctor. You might, right? But definitely this first one. Hey, listen, if you finish this, I'm gonna be really happy with you. Okay, no, you don't do that with a doctor. You don't do that with your mechanic, right? What you do is when you go in to pick up a patient, right? You're assuming the best, and you're like ready to pick them up. I'm here to pick up my loved one. Or in the example of a mechanic, right? I'm here to pick up my car. You are already presuming positive intent that the work has been done and it has been done to quality. I'll say that again. You don't go, if you finish, I'll pay you. Okay, doctor? What you do is you say, hey, I'm here to pick up my loved one. How did the surgery go? So it seems like a subtle shift, subtle shift, but it can have all the difference in the world. And we're on this journey together. Like I said, I am not by all means a perfect parent. My family will attest to that. But we do work really hard and we do try our best. And so again, one thing that we can do is, of course, we can set up our environment. Okay, that's really establishing our environment. And my gosh, we've been talking about that for weeks now. Here and on the other channels as well, we've had name it to tame it. So let's start with your environment and what you're nervous about. I talked about that in the episode 6. I know Kristen talked about that during the first week of the Parent Power Hours. So if you've missed those, go back and check those out. There we go. Yep, I just got a little post there. Hey, Ben says, quarantine teaching. That's brilliant, Doug Thompson. Yes, I like the phrase, quarantine teaching. So in quarantine teaching, the first thing you have to do is start by okay, so what am I actually afraid of? I got to name it to tame it. And then we began with talking about identifying what you have control over. I read a Dr. Seuss story talking about how we can lose control, and some things are outside of our ability to control them, and that requires some acceptance. I talk about that. An effort for allowing for choice. And then really setting expectations. So yesterday we began to unpack the idea about, so what are we working on? And right, have you set a timer for that? Allowing the kids to be in control of the timer, and then being very clear about this is the time that we do math. Okay, so now let me see if I can go one step, because again, that question came in. Justin, thank you so much. Appreciate you talking about that, but how do I actually get the kids to finish that work? All right, so instead of saying, if you finish that math assignment, you can play outside. Hey, have you finished that math assignment yet? And you know dang well they haven't, right? Try this. Now that your math assignment is done, you can play outside. Wow, you didn't even need my help with that math assignment. That's awesome. Here, show me your work. Show me what you worked on. Okay, so just like you've walked in to pick up your loved one from surgery, man, now the surgery is done, I'd love to pick up, my loved one, and of course, I'll pay you, right? Oh my gosh, doctor, thank you so much for all the work that you did in there. You saved a life. You are presuming that the work not only has been done, but it has been done to quality. Yep, and Doug is picking up what I'm putting down. He has said grit, a component of character that is so very important at every stage of growth and development. A wise and timely topic. Keep pounding the strike zone, Justin Vaughter. Man, I appreciate that, dude. I appreciate anyone that pours into us. Oh, look, and then the little short story that I pulled out there, the whole part about livers, as I mentioned, is from this book, and that comment has been put up by one of the New Minds team, so thank you so much. So, okay, well listen, I'll wrap this up. I just do want to say that as you were out there today and you're thinking to yourself, okay, how do I get my kids to complete the work? Or, again, maybe you're taking this and internalizing it and thinking about working with your team in the office. Maybe you're thinking about working with your spouse. Don't sit there and assume the worst. Assume that they haven't done it. Assume that they're behind. Assume that they did a poor quality of a job. Don't try to incentivize, like, if you do this, then I'll do this. Instead, try this simple shift, which is presuming positive intent and flipping it and saying, man, hey, cool. Now that that's done, right? Or I can tell that you're rocking on that thing. So that suddenly allows them to feel very empowered, and it allows you to not turn it into a conflict. Okay, man, so many cool things to talk about. I will pause there for the day. Like I started with some announcements there at the top. Of course, we have an amazing lineup for you today. Next, we have Kristen, who's coming in with the Parent Power Hour at 10 o'clock. Love the responses, love the engagement and conversation on those. And then we kick off the kids programming. We have K2, the STEAM train with Mr. Dorian. We have the STEM en Espanol, which is a fully immersive STEAM lesson. Then we have, let's see if I can do it from memory here. Then I know that we have Around the World with Mr. Walter. And then we have narrative and storytelling with Into the Dungeon Verse with Adam. Just such a cool, kid-appropriate way to do some role-playing and just an imaginative kind of thinking in this time of quarantine. Then I hope I didn't miss anything there. Then we come back for another round of the STEAM train. And then we have Into the New Minds Vault, which is where we pick some of our favorite topics over the past 8 years. Things that you can do at home, minimal projects. And we share those at 4 o'clock. And then at 5 o'clock, our CEO comes back and rounds out the day. And his End the Day piece, and yesterday was amazing. He actually brought in a guest speaker, Kathy Cordero, and talked about successful homeschooling. So if you haven't seen these, by all means, you can check us out on Facebook. And now I'll really come full circle and talk about how you can find us. So on Facebook, please, by all means, give us thumbs, like what you're doing, share it with a friend. That's how people find us. That's how people reach us. In fact, Sheila even wrote in and said, "Good morning. I shared your channel in my newsletter, Parent Help for Distant Learning." Oh, Sheila, tears of happy. Thank you. There are lots of resources for students online, but what about parents? And here are links to 2 fantastic resources. That's what she put in there. So, Sheila, I can't thank you enough because, again, although we had to build this ship while flying, it was very intentional. Yes, we want stuff that the kids can work on. And, of course, what about parents, right? We've got teachers, we've got parents, and then we have the students, and they form they do form the trifecta of education. So who's pouring into parents? So that was a very intentional choice, and so I'm so glad to see that this has been helpful. The start your day, the end your day, the Parent Power Hour. So keep tuning in for those. Now, okay, so I left off there. See, didn't lose the train of thought. So you can find us on Facebook. That's the one way to share us. Thank you so much. Like it, love it, give it hearts, right? Another way is newminds.tv. So from the very beginning, we started using Facebook, and the question became, how do I get people to access these videos? So our team member, Kristen, diligently has been going every single day, pulling these videos and putting them on a way that you can find them at newminds.tv. That's a website, newminds.tv, and you can watch them there. And then just recently, we took those videos on YouTube and opened them up as well as a public playlist, so now people can find them on YouTube. And again, all we ask is this: everything that we're putting out there is for free. We just ask that you share us, like us, and like Sheila did so wonderfully, mentioned in her newsletter, man, hey, this is a resource that you guys can use. That is what this is about. So, we are not doctors, right? We are not organ transplant specialists, but we are teachers. And I would argue some of us are self-development gurus. I know Ben is just incredible in that regard, and I know Kristen is there too. So it's really cool. So we're not doctors, but we are teachers, and we love self-development, and we love pouring into people. So if you like what we do, follow us, subscribe, share this liver story, and you guys have an amazing day. Thanks.